How to use the Fakmatic 126 adapter with 35mm film in the Kodak Instamatic X-15, which is the recommended camera to use with the Fakmatic adapter. You are going to need a either X-15 or X-15F camera, one roll of 24 exposure 35mm film, the Fakmatic adapter, the film stopper, the film washer, one pair of scissors, and one roll of tape, preferably opaque black light tight tape. You load it in a dark room or a film changing bag. You could load it with any 100 ISO or 200 ISO 35mm film, and then when you're done shooting, extract the film, develop it or send it to your lab, and then you reload it again. And this is the recommended camera to shoot the Fakmatic cartridge. On our website, we do have a list of other cameras that you can use the Fakmatic with. How does the Fakmatic work? In your 126 camera, there's one gear system that advances the film. So when you go to advance your film, see that? It pulls a gear and pops a pin. Here is the hub that the gear drives, and you simply pop it in your camera, like so. And then when you're advancing, it's turning, advancing the film. Now, I did mention that you have to do this loading in the dark, complete darkness. Please use a 12 exposure or a 24 exposure roll with the Fakmatic adapter. If you use a 36 exposure roll, it'll be too much film and it will jam the cartridge. Film is light sensitive. The emulsion dull side always faces out towards the lens of your camera. Expose through the lens, the light hits the dull emulsion side and creates your image. Now, film has to be developed before you will see any images. Film needs to be kept completely dark, black, cannot be exposed to light. The technique I'm going to show will allow you to load it into the Fakmatic, shoot, and then back in the black bag or a dark room, reload it back into the canister so you can send this to your lab for processing. The first thing you do is you take your 24 exposure roll, your film, and you cut it. That, I usually trim off the edges to make it a little easier to handle, like that. Again, this has to be done in the dark. Take a little piece of tape, and on your camera, do not forget this, tape this window because you do not want light to go into the Fakmatic adapter. Next, cut another little piece of tape. We're going to put the film stopper on our film. You could do this in the light. We're not in the dark yet. Take your film stopper. It won't stay on by itself. That's why I take this piece of tape. Make sure the nubs, make sure the sprockets are on the film stopper like so. Then I do this. Okay, now your film stopper is on. Okay, now we go into the dark. Have a second piece of tape handy. Once you do this once or twice, you'll be a pro. Take your Fakmatic apart. We're going to take our film and we're going to roll it as tightly as you can into a ball. Continue to roll, and as you're rolling it, you keep a tight hold on it. You don't want to get away from you. And as I do this, I tend to tighten it along the way. We keep doing this till we get to the end. Okay, here's the end. Cut your film. Keep your canister handy. We're going to need this again later. So here is our tight roll of film. We're going to attach, remember we had this piece of tape handy? You put the film on the hub. And you already had your hub all lined up the right way. So now you put the tight side into this hole here. I don't know if you can see it. It goes in here. And then the hub side on the other side. And look at that. It slides right in. See that? You will put your lid back on. Have to make sure it goes underneath properly. And there you have it. So that your Fakmatic does not come apart, take yet one more piece of tape and just put it across here so that your Fakmatic kind of stays together. That's it, you're loaded. Put the Fakmatic in your camera. Okay, now you're loaded. You're taped up. You will advance your film 3 times, and now you're ready to take your picture. Okay, let's say you took your first picture in daylight, by the way. If you're not shooting in daylight, make sure you have a flash. You go to advance. You think you're ready to take your picture? You're not, because the spacing system, you have to shoot at least 3 times to keep the film properly spaced. You advance, put your palm here to cover it so it's just black. Advance, palm, advance, palm, advance. Now you're ready to take your next picture. By the way, the last piece in this equation was the washer. It goes here. I don't use the washer. I've had no problems, but hold on to it in case you use a different camera where you're not getting the film. You know, this is a DIY project. There will be troubleshooting along the way. It's not perfect. So when you're shooting, how do you know your roll is finished? Well, that's what's so great about the film stopper, which, there we go. What happened? I can't advance anymore. In the dark, in your film changing bag or darkroom, but for our purposes, I'm going to show you. Take your film out. Make sure you make your camera nice. And then open up in the dark. The film stopper told us that we're at the end of the roll. An amazing technological advance in the year 2024. Amazing. You're in the dark. You take the film stopper off. You have your film canister. And by the way, this is only if you're sending your film out to a photo lab. If you're developing it yourself, you'd be going right into the film tank and not have to worry about this. Take your film, you take that piece of tape or any piece of tape that you were using, you attach it to the film, you attach the film back to the film from inside the canister. Okay, now we're going to go, oh, look at that. Make sure it goes in. Oh boy. When you're sending your film to your favorite lab, like the darkroom.com, you need to tell them, hey, I shot this in a 126 camera, because when they scan it, it will produce a square image. Here's your Fakmatic, ready for your next big adventure. Don't lose your film stopper. Put that back in there. Your little washer. And thanks for watching. Leave your comments below, or michael@filmphotographyproject.com. Enjoy shooting 126 in 2024 and beyond. Hey, really fast, I'd like to show you folks the difference between 35mm film and 126 film. Both films are 35mm in width, as you can see. And this is why you will notice some trouble sometimes with advancing or, just generally speaking, when either reloading a 126 cartridge or using the Fakmatic adapter. 126 film is a 35mm film that is sprocketed, as you can see, very sparsely sprocketed, with only sprockets on one side of the film. Whereas 35mm film, sprocket city. Lots of sprockets. So that's why, in these older 126 cameras, you have this pin system, and that grabs that one sprocket and sets the shutter like that. Whereas, with 35mm, you have, it's wreaking havoc on that system. And that's why when you're advancing film using the adapter, you have to, advance, shoot, put your palm, advance, shoot, palm, advance, shoot, because you want to get past all those sprockets. Okay, that's the end of that. It's all good.